You were born with worth, value, and purpose, and you came into the world to make a difference, and you were born to change the world because your existence is that important. That is me accepting myself today. And the more that you are able to do that, that's when your life takes off. And it's something that you will do every single day. And I can tell you that I know that. And now I can tell you why I know you have worth and value and that you were born into the world for a great reason. I didn't believe that all the time myself. But today is January the 19th, and we in the United States happen to be celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. And that became really important to me. Throughout our lives, we will find people that will inspire us in some particular way, and sometimes you won't even know why. But there's something that will resonate, something that you will feel that will awaken you to who you're meant to be in this world. And that's ongoing because we're never done creating the world, and we're doing that through our consciousness. And consciousness changes. And Martin Luther King was one of those people who wanted to change consciousness. And we can look around at our lives now and our world and know that we want to change consciousness first within ourselves. And that comes from self-acceptance. And that can be challenging. And it was terribly challenging for me all of my life. But now today, I know that there was a reason for that. Because at 75 years old, I can tell you that you're supposed to have this great life and that you were born with worth and value no matter what you might have believed, no matter what you've gone through or what someone else told you. See, because I was talked out of my purpose as well. That's how it felt. But it was me doing that. Because we're taught limitation. That's how we come into the world, all of us. There's no person who's born who knows everything. We are meant to discover something new. But we also are told that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't be seen. We shouldn't be stand out or make waves. And then we might keep doing that, but we're doing it to ourselves. But I was so inspired today because I have to tell you this. I had to find this quote from Dr. King that I wanted to read to you because it kind of tells you what my life is and why this moment in our history has made my life more meaningful now as it will yours. And it was, whatever affects one directly affects all collectively. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And that is something that has stayed with me. And on this day, I can finally say that I can accomplish that. Because I can guide people to who they're meant to be now. Through everything that I've gone through. And all the doubts, all the fears. And that's where you find your freedom. I wrote a book in 2019. I released it in 2019. Overcoming Fear. A Guide to Freedom. And I did it there because I was afraid. And I had to get free. I had to start to accept myself. Because I wrote the book from the information that I was receiving from Wilhelm. And Wilhelm is that universal consciousness that I started connecting to in 1989. Because like everyone else, I'm looking for help. I'm looking for something that's going to tell me who I am. Self-acceptance is the thing that we're all looking for. And I did a search to see. It's like one of the search terms, one of the greatest search terms, along with mental health and depression and all of those things. That's what people are searching for. And we have to ask, why do we do that? Because we're never done. We're never done becoming who we could be because it's in consciousness. And consciousness evolves as we all live over time, over society, basically. And that's what has happened for me. And so I will tell you that no matter what you might have gone through, no matter what difficulty, what you thought about yourself, there's worth and value within you, and everything you experienced was to get you to understand that. And this period that we're in, that we're moving through, because we're moving through an evolutionary time in our world. We've all felt it. You, even no matter what you might think, you felt something, and you might even feel it today. We are affected by the changes in energy, because that's all we are, for energy and consciousness. But we are affected by that when the planets change. And we will not always understand that. We won't understand why certain people are behaving in a particular way and what's affecting them and what's going on. You can never know that. But what you can do is figure out who you are and start to own that. Because that's the most valuable thing that you can do, is to honor why you were born. Now, I will say it doesn't matter when that happens, because I'm doing it now. I'm doing it on this day. And I'm saying that because I didn't know. We each come in to leave something. That's your legacy. Every single person has it. And it's going to look different. You may be judged about it. You might have doubted it or feared it. And I did all of those. So I do understand. But now I can be an elder, let's say, and say, we don't need to do that anymore. And then you will hear things like, nothing can change. You can't change the world. I'm saying, yes, you can. Because, see, when you change the world, you change individually. You change the person. That's us. We are the ones who are creating the world. And the only way we can do that is if we decide that we're going to accept our uniqueness, if we're going to accept why we were born and our purpose, because it's always there. And then what I discovered after all of these years, it's been 37 years that I've been receiving Wilhelm. Maybe 38, who knows, but it's around there. And then what I discovered is the most miraculous thing ever. With everything that I have gone through, I discovered that there's an organization in our universe, and I've talked about this. I talked about it the other day because it was surprising to me that I would discover it. And guess what happens? You come into alignment with who you are. See, you have a unique DNA when you were born, and it's energy again. We figure these things out over time. Different people discover certain things. And it can be surprising. And it shocked me. And I would want you to be shocked as well. Because, see, when you can break out of the limits or the norms that have existed, then you're contributing to our world in a much greater way. No matter what someone else might have told you. And so what I discovered, and I talked about this yesterday, but I'm going to release a press release about it because this is the greatest contribution to humankind ever developed, because it's about consciousness. And if more people could raise to a higher state of consciousness within themselves, they would have this great life, and then our world would be great as well. And people told me, no, you can't change the world. So I may not see it, but I know that I have the ingredient, that I have the mechanism that can do that. Now, I didn't believe that. I'm just saying I didn't believe it. And because I couldn't believe it, I kept messing up my life, too. And the only thing I did was I couldn't put the value on it. And that's what I never want to see anyone else do, is not value who you are. And so because I couldn't do that and kept doing it, I put myself in financial difficulties because of it. Because I couldn't accept what was happening. Even though I'm experiencing this miraculous healing that's occurring, this miraculous awareness. But no one understood what I was doing. No one close to me, family, no one. I didn't understand it either. But that was purposeful, because now I can give something new. I can leave something to the world that's going to make a huge difference. Today is the 19th. What I discovered is that there's an order of information that we have that's connected to the changes of our world. There are many people who've studied astrology and astronomy and all of those things, and you'll see it. You probably today, you go to YouTube and you'll see many videos talking about this date or the energetic qualities of it. I never understood any of that, except I was receiving information that way, and it was all aligned. And it is what caused me to heal physically. I healed incurable, so-called incurable diseases. And now at this age, at 75, I'm going in a different direction. And that's what's called reverse aging, because that's when you let go of all the ways that you've been holding yourself back. And I do know that. And so now my dedication is to put this out for more. I'm going to get this to as many people as I possibly can, which is why I'll give you the press release because I want you to see it because I'm going to put it out tomorrow or send it to places because I want people to know about this great discovery. Because that way, more people can figure out who they are. That figuring out is an internal job. I sat down every single day for 37 years and received this information. And I was shocked myself. And it was artificial intelligence that told me that I had written with all this information more than the Bible, more than Harry Potter, more than all these other things. I had no awareness. But I knew that it was doing something because there's no way that I could still be alive without changing something. But today on this, I've been showing these cycles because we move through cycles in our lives and we move through cycles in the world. As we're looking at our world now, we're moving through a huge cycle and they're energetically connected. We can go back and see planetary configurations that were occurring at a certain time that we're duplicating or repeating now. And so I looked at the message I received on 2008 on this day, and I'm going to read it to you because it's so important, and it's the essence of what this work is, and I couldn't have known that before. And it was. This is January 19th, 2008. Whenever you look at your current life situation and make an assessment that you are not happy or unfulfilled, you have in that moment uncovered the source of the problem. You have placed your own happiness on some outside contingency, and that is exactly where it will stay. In your effort to attain that happiness or fulfillment, you have set up certain expectations and conditions which, in truth, have nothing to do with your current state of affairs. This is why gratitude is so important. When you are in a state of being grateful, you are in the present moment, contingent on nothing, and that is the only place you will find your life dreams. And I can tell you from experience that that is so true, but we won't always do it because we've been taught other things. We've been taught limitation. We've been taught holding back. I never wanted to be seen. That was a big one. I didn't want people to know who I am or to see what I was creating. I didn't want to be judged. The actor Jim Carrey said something a long time ago that I heard, and I thought that's exactly it. The problem with most people is they don't want to be seen. We are taught to be inadequate. We are taught to be little. We are taught all of those things. But our job as we live as humans is to decide we're going to move beyond that. And that's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to give you some documents to show you how perfect you are. Because I didn't know I was figuring it out because no one had done this. And I'm saying this because no one has done what you're going to do either. And that will be the challenge that you have because you'll compare yourself to everyone else. I did it, and that's what held me back. And I never want to see anyone else do that. And I know that if more of us come to that understanding, we won't see the kind of conditions that we've been experiencing in our lives and in the world. And today is that declaration that I can make, and I'm so grateful that I can do it on Martin Luther King's birthday. But there were two people that made a difference for me, and I couldn't have told you why. John F. Kennedy, our president, who was assassinated in 1963, so many things happened around then. But for me, that awakened me to something that I could not explain because I thought, this cannot happen. Why is that happening? We should have a better world. We shouldn't be killing one another. And especially our president who is going to give us hope about creating something better. And then in 1968, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, I can tell you, both of these incidents, I remember exactly what I was doing. And on that date, I was coming home on Martin Luther King. When we got the news, I was on a bus, school bus, coming back from a vocal competition and singing and vocal. That was everything. And I was so excited at that time. And then I heard the news, and then my life changed. I went into this deep state of depression and anger, actually. But now I understand it was for a purpose. Because I couldn't be here now telling you this. And I couldn't have created this work to be able to give it to you or the rest of the world that I know will make a huge difference. And that's what I can do today. And that is my self-acceptance, which is what I want for you. Thank you so much for being here. Now you're going to have a really great life. I'll see you soon.